Hafaday, welcome back to News Extra. Well, 2018 is Guam's Year of the Reef, and with us to talk a little bit more about this event is Maribel and Val. Ladies, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having us.
So tell us a little bit about what the community can expect and why it's important that we recognize our island's coral reefs.
Sure. So our reefs are so important on so many levels, from economic, cultural, and also just coastal protection. So they protect us and give us a lot of benefits. And so we're celebrating them in 2018, and it's part of the International Year of the Reef. So people around the world, countries around the world are participating in different types of activities. So just this past Friday, the Lieutenant Governor actually declared it Guam Year of the Reef 2018 officially with a proclamation. And so we have all sorts of activities going on all throughout the year where people can learn more about reefs, the threats that are affecting them, and how they can help protect them.
Right. Talk a little bit about those threats just so people are aware of what they should and shouldn't be doing when they're out there.
Sure. So there are a number of things that are affecting our reefs. Some of them include what we call land-based sources of pollution. And so those are things like runoff, construction projects in the water, anything, pesticides, stormwater, because everything's connected. So all the way from the very top of Mount Lam Lam all the way down to the reefs, it's all connected, and what we do on land has an impact on all of the animals and plants in the water. And so people can just be more mindful. The other things that are affecting it include over-harvesting of some very important species that help keep the reef healthy. Right. And so people can make better decisions about what they're harvesting. And the other thing that's really been affecting our reefs over the last few years has been climate change and coral bleaching events. So we had our corals bleached in 2013, 2014, 2016, and most recently 2017, which was the most severe of all of those. And so to help protect our reefs, we really need to be mindful and take care of them and help support them. And we have a lot of programs to be able to help do that, from people planting trees up in the watersheds, through community events, to our program, the Guam Community Coral Reef Monitoring Program. People are actually in the water and helping us monitor those corals and things like sea cucumbers and sea stars to see how they're doing so we can make better choices.
Yeah, and how has the feedback been for you ladies when people hear about these efforts and want to learn more?
Well, people have been really enthusiastic about it. And it's really cool to see some of the same families and some of the kids even growing up coming back and participating in tree plantings or snorkeling tours, and even the community monitoring program. So they're really excited. It's really good that we have this to offer, and that's what people really appreciate. And through that, we've all been able to understand the threats to our reefs, some of which Val mentioned. And then also to see it for themselves, and that motivates more of that, more positive actions and more care for the reefs.
No doubt an effort that you guys have been working on for years, as well as others across the world. So what can people do then immediately? Just like you said, some of the things they've done is planting, but if you're like the average Joe and you're out there, what can they do just to do their part?
So it's kind of hard to get, sometimes it's a little overwhelming to get started, and that's why we have all these programs. So one of the things they can do is actually, if people aren't sure what they can do, a good way to get started is to come to our event this weekend on the 10th from 1 to 3:30, and we'll have all of our partners there, and we'll be talking about the threats to reefs and the programs and how people can get involved to help protect reefs. So there's a number of things that people can do. Some of them are organized by those agencies and organizations, and so people can check that out Saturday. But then there's a lot of things they can do individually. So things individually are things like reduce, reuse, recycle. You guys hear that message from a lot of different places, but it helps our reefs too, because you know, plastics actually can contain chemicals and also diseases that can affect corals. There was a recent paper that just came out this month actually showing how plastic debris on corals actually can help make them sick and transfer diseases. So, you know, by keeping plastics out of the water, picking up the beaches, and also reducing everything that they use, that helps in a number of ways. Also just watching where they step. So rather than stepping on a coral, which is a live animal
Yeah.
and is super impacted right now by all these different threats, choose to stand on sand or wear a life jacket so you don't have to stand, and just stay off of those living resources that are really in trouble right now. The other thing that's kind of an emerging issue that people are finding out about is sunscreen can actually have a really bad impact on corals, and even just a little drop in an entire pool can actually have impacts to living corals. And so choosing sunblocks and sunscreens that use zinc and titanium oxide instead of the chemical sunscreens are a little better, some of the other chemicals. The one they really want to watch out for is oxybenzone. And that's been one that's been proven to have very serious effects on corals. And some islands are even moving to ban those sunscreens
really?
completely.
Very important information for a lot of people out there, especially
Sure.
the parents who, always want to protect their children when
Sure.
they're out in the waters. And so what is the feeling that either of you get whenever you actually witness or hear about those negative impacts on our reefs as a result?
I think as I started working with more community programs that focus on offering opportunities for us to all learn together and to talk about these threats and do something about it, it just, every time I see it, I know that it can be avoided. And so with that, I always share that with my family, with my friends, about these are just really simple ways that we can help.
Okay. And for you?
Oh, it's hard for me. I've watched corals actually die from people standing on them and touching them over time, and so I get very frustrated sometimes. And but it just really makes me redouble my efforts to try to do all this outreach and community engagement, so we can help people minimize those impacts.
Okay. Thank you so much, Maribel and Val. Final message out to the community so they know about the event coming up this weekend.
Yeah, they should join us on Saturday at the Hall of Governors, so next to the Lattie of Freedom, from 1 to 3:30. And it's part of our Guam Year of the Reef kickoff. And it's also celebrating the Guam Community Coral Reef Monitoring Program and all of our, what are we up to, close to 1,500 members now that have joined us and help protect Guam's reefs. And the community can come out and check it out. It's free, open to the public. There'll be different activities and some talks on how reefs are doing and the threats to them. And if people want more information about any of the activities this year for Year of the Reef, they can go to guamcoralreefs.com. There's a website that'll highlight that and direct them to all the activities and more information.
Great. Real simple. Well, thank you so much, ladies, and hope to see you there.
Thanks.
Okay, thank
All right.
you.
All right, more extra after the break.